What if a relaxing cruise turned into a nightmare? Soo-young and his sister Hae-soo step onto a massive cruise ship. Everything seems perfect until a passenger in the VIP line starts coughing violently and no one stops her. At first, it looks like a cold, but then crew members start collapsing, blood spilling from their mouths, and suddenly monsters erupt from people, attacking anyone nearby. Panic spreads through the ship. Then, in the middle of chaos, a mute girl appears in front of Yu-sung to save him, holding a note that says, "Don't breathe. Every inhale could be deadly." Following her instructions, they run through the corridors, avoiding tentacle creatures, watching in horror as passengers transform into monsters, headless bodies, twisted faces, and relentless monsters chasing after them. In this Manhwa story, every breath could be their last. Will they escape the cruise, or is everyone trapped in this ship, floating nightmare? The story begins at Incheonport International Terminal, where the siblings, Soo-young and his younger sister Hae-soo, are about to embark on a cruise trip for a short, relaxing vacation. Hae-soo is bursting with excitement, while Soo-young can only sigh. He tells her that she's the only one getting worked up. Soo-young even asks what's so great about it, saying it's just a boat floating around. Hae-soo snaps back loudly, shocked. "What? Don't you know how amazing this ship is?" She excitedly explains that the cruise is a super popular 6-night, 7-day route to Taiwan and Japan. It's a massive ship that can carry over 5,000 passengers, complete with dazzling daily shows, gourmet dining, and even a gigantic water park. To Hae-soo, it's not just a ship, it's paradise. And all of this is thanks to her winning a review event that got them invited. Soo-young already feels exhausted listening to her. He mutters that if only their mom and dad were here, his sister might calm down a bit. Hae-soo hurries towards the entrance, while Soo-young lingers behind, staring up at the enormous cruise ship. He quietly wonders why he even agreed to come. Still, he tells himself that since he's already here, he should shake off his regrets. He doesn't want to worry his family ever again. Suddenly, Soo-young hears loud coughing. He looks ahead towards the sound and notices a commotion. He approaches Hae-soo and quietly asks what's going on. Hae-soo explains that a passenger in the fast lane spat, and it looks like it splattered on a kid's shoes. When Soo-young asks what the fast lane is, Hae-soo explains it's the red VIP line for passengers who booked VIP rooms, allowing them to skip the queue. She adds that the woman in the VIP line is clearly at fault, but she's pretending not to notice. Soo-young frowns and says someone should step in. The kid looks like she can't even speak. From the VIP line, the woman's husband suddenly yells, irritated. He scolds his wife why she keeps bothering him, cruelly saying the kid is just a retard. Then, without concern for anyone else, he tells his wife to take care of herself, complaining that her coughing is ruining the trip. The woman doesn't respond. She just keeps coughing. The siblings are disturbed by the couple's behavior. They didn't even apologize to the kid. But Soo-young says there's nothing to worry about. With that kind of coughing, they'll probably get stopped at the entrance. At the checkpoint, staff begin checking the couple's temperature. Surprisingly, the woman's temperature was normal and she was allowed to enter without any issue. The siblings are shocked. Hae-soo asks how that's possible when the woman was coughing so badly. Soo-young brushes it off, telling her she's just being paranoid. He reassures her they wouldn't let an infected person into a sealed space, and even if something happened, quarantine procedures would handle it. As they enter, the massive cruise ship doors slowly close, and an announcement echoes. The cruise Saleho is now departing. Moments later, inside the ship, Hae-soo's eyes sparkle with pure joy. To her, the interior looks like a palace. Soo-young, already overwhelmed by her excitement, tries to put on his headphones to block out the noise, but Hae-soo suddenly starts running around. Soo-young shouts after her, telling her not to wander off alone. She asks him to take a photo, and then another, and then another. One by one, Soo-young takes pictures of her all around the ship until his hands start trembling from exhaustion. He's completely worn out. Then an announcement plays. "Attention passengers, the departure ceremony will begin shortly. Those who wish to attend, please proceed to the deck." Once again, Hae-soo drags her brother along. They run towards the deck, and when they arrive, they're greeted with a breathtaking sight, a beautiful sunset over the sea. Soo-young stands there for a moment, quietly watching. He admits to himself that maybe this cruise trip won't be so boring after all. Later, inside an elevator, Soo-young repeatedly presses the button, but nothing happens. That's when he notices something strange. Beside the button is a handprint smeared with what looks like blood. He wonders if someone's messing around. Hae-soo asks what's wrong and tells him to hurry up. Soo-young explains that he's already pressed the button multiple times, but it won't work. Suddenly, someone taps Soo-young on the shoulder. He turns around, and it's the same kid from earlier. The siblings immediately recognize her. She can't speak and uses sign language. She tries to explain something, but they don't understand at all. The kid sighs, then points to a sign that reads VIP Lounge Only. Now they understand. Embarrassed, the siblings leave the elevator and thank the girl. She watches them for a moment before quietly walking away. Meanwhile, in the staff break room, a crew member laughs as he talks about a VIP guest who left most of their room service untouched. He complains that it's gross, but jokes that she'll never get another chance to eat such fancy food. She wishes she could be a guest instead of staff. In the corner, another female staff member stood silently, coughing. Suddenly, she freezes, shocked by something in her hand. She looks down and sees blood from her cough. The other staff member continues talking, mentioning that the guest in room 100 kept coughing. He says that even if the thermometer didn't catch it, it's still concerning. The woman turns to her coworker and calls her Suji, asking if she wants the leftover dessert. But her eyes widen in horror. Suji's body begins to tremble violently, her form starting to change. In a strained voice, Suji gasps, "I can't breathe." The dessert drops to the floor as the woman's legs give out. She collapses, frozen in fear. She tries to scream, to call for help, but something appears in front of her. A horrifying creature, like an octopus-like parasite, reaches towards her neck. It speaks in a chilling voice, "Found you." The scene shifts to other parts of the ship. People are laughing, swimming in the pool, enjoying dinner as night falls. But back in the staff break room, the door creaks open. One of the female staff members staggers out, her head completely severed, floating unnaturally in the air. Meanwhile, in VIP room 100, where the rude couple is staying, the wife speaks softly. She tells her husband that if his business trip was really canceled so suddenly, he could have just rested at home. The husband snaps back harshly, reminding her that she's the one who forced herself to come despite being sick. He mocks her clothes and heavy makeup, asking if she's a hostess or if she's trying to seduce some younger guy. The wife feels humiliated. Without saying a word, she watches as her husband slams the door shut and heads to the shower. Her body trembles with anger. She turns her gaze to the wine glass on the table, her husband's drink, and spits black saliva into it. As she walks towards the other room, the TV plays a news report. The reporter announces that the expensive so-called luxury vaccine released by Ryzen has been revealed to cause serious side effects. These include black saliva, excessive coughing, and more. Some experts argue that vaccinated individuals should be isolated immediately. The scene then shifts to the past. Yu-sung is shown as a well-known and incredible swimming athlete. Since his debut, he has never once lost first place. But now, another competitor, Sungjin, is closing in fast from behind. Yu-sung encourages himself, believing he'll win again. Suddenly, he opens his eyes and found out it was only a dream. Hae-soo appears beside him and asks if he's awake, telling him it's time to go enjoy the cruise. That morning, the siblings feasted at the breakfast buffet, eating so much that even the chef looked bothered. Afterward, they head to a coin karaoke room and have fun, though honestly, Hae-soo is the only one truly enjoying it. Later, while relaxing in massage chairs, Hae-soo asks Yu-sung if this place feels like paradise. Surprisingly, Yu-sung agrees. As they relax, Hae-soo casually tells her brother that she needs to poop. Yu-sung immediately gets irritated. He knows exactly what that means. He ends up waiting outside for nearly an hour, growing more annoyed by the minute. Then suddenly, someone speaks to him. Huh? Isn't that Kang Yu-sung? Yu-sung looks carefully and recognizes him. It's Sungjin, the same man from his dream, the one chasing him in the swimming competition. Yu-sung asks what he's doing here. Sungjin replies arrogantly, saying he travels a lot with his family and came on the cruise to train while vacationing. Then he scoffs, saying it's surprising to see Yu-sung at the ship, considering how expensive the tickets are. He asks how he managed to afford it. Then Sungjin notices Yu-sung's scar on his neck. He laughs and mentions the settlement money from the accident. He mockingly apologizes, saying it's good Yu-sung got a large payout. Yu-sung clenches his fist but calmly responds, thanking Sungjin for the concern. He tells him to worry about himself instead, that thanks to him being gone, Sungjin finally got the starting spot he always dreamed of. Yu-sung smiles faintly and tells him that with him out next season, Sungjin better win. Sungjin grows irritated, clenches his teeth, and walks away muttering that he worried for nothing. Before leaving, he invites Yusong to hang out later at VIP room 102. Haesoo arrived and was shocked to learn that her brother has a friend. She quickly adds that there's somewhere they need to go right now. Yusong sighs and asks what it is. Haesoo excitedly explains that one of the top 3 beauty BJs, Hanbit, will be DJing at the cruise water park party. She points at the elevator and tells Yusong they need to catch it. But people rush into the elevator first. As Haesoo tries to catch up, the rude VIP man from earlier aggressively presses the close button. The elevator doors shut before she can enter. Meanwhile, inside the elevator, the man begins coughing violently. His saliva splatters around, frightening a child inside. The child's mother politely asks him to at least cover his mouth, but the man snaps back loudly, telling her to mind her own business. Later, the siblings decide to stay in their room since they missed the water park party. Haesoo angrily insults the man, calling him a bald guy who lost not only his hair, but his decency. Yusong simply puts on his headphones and quietly falls asleep. Hours later, the 3-hour playlist on Yusong's phone ends and he slowly wakes up. Wanting fresh air, he steps outside, sipping a soda. Sungjin's smirk suddenly flashes in his mind, triggering a painful memory. In the past, Yusong remembers being shoved by another student, possibly Yusong's friend, who coldly said that if Yusong had just let Sungjin win once, none of this would have happened. In that moment, as Yusong was pushed away, a passing vehicle struck him. The memory fills Yusong with anger, and he decides to return to the room. But as he walks through the hallway, he notices a commotion. Crew members with walkie-talkies urgently request medical support, calling it an emergency. Curious, Yusong turns and freezes. Multiple people are lying on the ground, coughing violently, blood spilling from their mouths. One of them is the child in the elevator. Her body trembles uncontrollably as her mother desperately tries to calm her. 2 medical personnel rush in. One announces that the patient is experiencing severe respiratory distress. The other calls for a defibrillator. Yusong stands frozen, unable to understand what's happening. Then an announcement echoes through the ship. Attention passengers, a respiratory virus is currently spreading on board. All passengers are asked to wear masks at all times. The virus has been confirmed to show only mild cold-like symptoms. Please remain calm and stay in your cabins. Suddenly, before Yusong's eyes, the child's head transforms, twisting into a horrifying tentacle-like monster. Reality hits him. He remembers Haesoo. Without hesitation, Yusong sprints back towards their room. The next day, panic spreads among the passengers. People demand answers about the virus announcement. Some claim they saw a monster burst out of someone's body. Others shout it's nonsense, insisting it was just a murder case. Complaints about disinfection and quarantine grow louder as passengers demand an explanation. Nearby, Yusong and Haesoo sit quietly, watching the chaos unfold. Haesoo asks what happened the night before while she was asleep. Yusong doesn't answer. Instead, he texts their mother, warning her that something is wrong on the cruise ship and that he plans to take Haesoo and get off as soon as they reach Japan. Yusong stays silent, replaying what he witnessed. He remembers the moment the defibrillator was handed over and how a tentacle suddenly lunged at the medical personnel. Without hesitation, the medic slammed the defibrillator into the creature, killing it. Others who witnessed the scene labeled it a murder, but Yusong knows the truth. It wasn't murder. It was pure self-defense from a monster. But suddenly, Haesoo starts coughing. Yusong freezes in terror the moment he hears it. Without thinking, he immediately grabs his sister's hand, carefully observing her. After a tense moment, he lets go, whispering to himself that her hand isn't black. He exhales in relief. Haesoo looks strangely at him and asks why he's acting so weird. Yusong tells her to go back to their room first, saying he just needs to make a quick call and will follow right after. Yusong tries to call their mother, desperate to warn her not to get on the cruise ship, but the call won't go through. The service is suddenly unavailable. He's confused because it was working just moments ago. Then an announcement echoes through the ship. This is an announcement from the cruise management office. A respiratory virus is currently spreading on board. Hearing this, Yusong immediately rushes to their room. He throws the door open and freezes. Haesoo isn't inside. Yusong turns around, ready to search for her, when suddenly a man stumbles out of a nearby room, screaming, "Don't come! I said don't come!"
Then a woman's head appears. Her eyes glow red. Her neck stretches unnaturally, twisting in a horrifying way. Yusong is paralyzed with fear as he realizes the woman has two heads, one with a normal neck and the other stretched outward, transforming into a terrifying tentacle-like monster. Without hesitation, the monster wraps its tentacle around the man's neck and arm, lifting him into the air. The second head moves closer. With a sickening snap, the tentacle tightens, completely severing the man's head. His body crashes to the floor while his head remains trapped in the creature's grasp. From the neck of the original body, a strange tentacle mouth emerges, lined with sharp teeth. It moves towards the severed head and violently latches onto it. What Yusong sees next terrifies him even more. The man's eyes suddenly turn red, his mouth opens wide, and a small tentacle begins to crawl out from inside. Yusong breaks into a run, completely horrified. As he runs, his mind spirals. Just yesterday, everything was normal. They were laughing, having fun. He reaches another part of the ship, and what he sees is even worse. Multiple people lie scattered across the floor, their heads severed and fused into grotesque tentacle monsters. Headless bodies are sprawled everywhere. Yusong freezes, and then every monster turns towards him. The moment they spot him, they charge. Yusong runs. He keeps running, desperately trying to shake them off. But when he glances back again, a monster's head suddenly appears right behind him, its mouth stretched wide, ready to bite. Yusong barely avoids the attack, losing his balance and crashing to the floor. The monster keeps lunging as he struggles to stand, but a sharp pain shoots through his knee. His leg gives out completely. Yusong collapses, staring down at his trembling legs. Then he looks up, and his heart sinks. More monsters block his path ahead. At that moment, someone runs towards him. In his mind, Yusong screams for them to stop, but the person doesn't slow down. Suddenly, a hand covers Yusong's mouth. His eyes widen as he sees a piece of paper held in front of him. Written on it are two words: "Don't breathe." The person is the mute girl from before. At that very moment, a monstrous head rushes toward them. Yusong shuts his eyes in fear. Blood drips. Slowly, he opens his eyes. The monster has stopped just inches from his face. It lets out a low groan, then moves past him. Just by covering his mouth and holding his breath, the monster no longer senses him. The girl removes her hand and points at the note again. "Don't breathe." Yusong doesn't fully understand, but he nods, following her instructions. She gestures with sign language, telling him to follow her. They run, slipping past multiple monsters. As they move, Yusong wonders how this girl even discovered that holding their breath works. As they continue, Yusong sees a horrifying scene. A woman holding a baby, both decapitated. The baby has turned into a monster, while the other monsters are fighting over the woman's severed head. Yusong's lungs burn. He's running out of air after holding his breath earlier, barely managing to breathe again. Then he sees a body on the other side wearing familiar clothes, the same clothes Haesu was wearing. Yusong dashes toward it, desperately praying it isn't his sister. His heart pounds as he grabs the body's shoulder and turns it over. The clothes are identical. At that moment, the mute girl grabs Yusong's shoulder and desperately signs something, but Yusong can't understand. He ignores her. He doesn't have time. He needs to know if the body in front of him is Haesu. The girl grabs his hand, trying to pull him away, urging him to run. Yusong resists, unable to move. Left with no choice, the girl turns and runs away. But Yusong grabs her arm and stops her. The girl struggles, trying to break free, and then, in desperation, she opens her mouth and breathes. Instantly, nearby monsters react. Their eyes snap toward them. Yusong clenches his teeth and shouts, "Run!" Grabbing the girl's hand, they sprint as the monsters chase them relentlessly. Ahead, Yusong spots a convenience store. Without hesitation, they rush inside and slam the door shut, locking it behind them. Inside, Yusong and the girl stood, breathing heavily as they tried to catch their breath. But outside, the monster slammed into the glass door again and again. Cracks began spreading across the glass as it's about to break. Soo-young and the girl stepped back from the glass door and saw it starting to crack. Panic surged through them and they bolted just as the glass finally shattered, rushing into the other side of the convenience store. Inside, the monster prowled relentlessly, searching for prey. Soo-young and the girl stood stood behind a fridge, breathing a sigh of relief. The mute girl quickly scribbled another note and showed it to Su-young. "I can't hold my breath for long. Let's wait until it moves away." Su-young nodded in agreement. The girl frantically wrote again, holding up a new note. "And why are you clinging to me when I'm running out of breath? Damn it, if I die here, it's because of you." Su-young immediately apologized. Meanwhile, across the store, one of the monsters lingered by a slightly open fridge. Its senses detected Su-young and the girl's breathing. As Su-young continued explaining, telling the girl about the corpse he had seen wearing the exact same clothes as his sister, a can of soda fell in front of him. He froze. The monster's head appeared suddenly from the fridge, drawn by their breath. Both Su-young and the girl held their breath, frozen in terror. The monster opened its mouth wide, and another smaller, parasitic mouth started extending like a tentacle, scanning the area. The girl's fear grew, and she began inching away slowly, showing another note, "Follow me." She reached for a door handle, ready to lead them out, but before she could, another monster appeared right in front of her. Shocked, she covered her mouth, but a tiny hiccup escaped. The monster's tentacle mouth twitched, sensing her breath. Su-young lunged to protect her, planning to attack, but the monster behind him struck with lightning speed, its tentacles snatching something hidden in a corner and catching a hidden rat. Both Su-young and the girl froze, waiting as the creature finally left. Seconds passed like hours, and they remained motionless, hearts pounding. The girl tapped Su-young's shoulder, showing him another note, "Follow me." Terrified, they moved cautiously, searching for a safe spot. As they progressed, Su-young paused, noticing something outside. The sunset revealed the ship had stopped in the middle of nowhere at sea. Soon after, the girl reached her door and knocked persistently. It creaked open slightly, and a voice asked who it was. She pushed the door open and rushed inside, Su-young following. Inside, they gasped, finally able to catch their breath. Su-young turned to see a group of people loudly talking about the monsters, calling them zombies, while others were panicking and paranoid for their own safety. An old woman approached Su-young, offering a piece of candy. She said, "Student, you must have been very scared, right? Want some candy?" Su-young noticed her thumb was bloodied. She handed him a note. "The time of judgment has come," with a cross drawn in her blood. Then the old woman said, "Take this too. Even now, if you believe, you can go to heaven." The old woman walked away, leaving Su-young stunned. Suddenly, chaos erupted as people inside started panicking and fighting each other. Su-young stood in the middle, overwhelmed, asking himself, "How can we get out of here alive? Shouldn't we run somewhere?" As Su-young asked himself how they could survive, a nearby woman shouted to a man loudly, "When exactly is the rescue team coming?" Looking around, Su-young realized there were still quite a few survivors. He wasn't sure if that was fortunate or not. Then he heard a cry while saying, "Sung-joon is in his room. As long as he doesn't come out, he should be fine." Su-young quickly realized they must be Sung-joon's parents. The mute girl started walking silently. Su-young approached her and thanked her, but she suddenly slapped his hand, tears welling in her eyes. She tried to use sign language to explain, but Su-young didn't understand a thing. Frustrated, she switched to a different gesture, flipping her middle finger. An old woman nearby knocked the girl on the head and scolded her. "Oh, I told you to use only nice words. Oh my, you're half gone already. What was so important that you went to get? Was it more precious than your life?" Then the old woman looked at Su-young. "Who are you? Do you know Selwa?" Su-young opened his mouth and then froze, remembering the corpse wearing clothes identical to his sister's. The old woman softened. "Kid, if it's hard to talk, that's okay. I know what happened outside." Su-young quickly replied, Yes, thanks for helping me anyway. I need to go look for my sister." Suddenly, a loud scream rang out. Su-young turned and saw a man collapsed on the floor, trembling, bubbles forming at his mouth. His mother cried out, "My son can't breathe. Doctor, isn't there a doctor here? Someone, please." People panicked immediately, thinking he might be infected. A middle-aged man shouted, "There, the firefighter, do something quickly." Su-young calmly said, "It looks like hyperventilation. I've seen it a few times while swimming. There's no black blood, so it doesn't seem infected. If we had a bag, we could fix this." The old woman fumbled in her pocket. "I have one. I used it for bathroom cleaning." Others shouted for the firefighter to deal with the boy before he turned into a monster. Su-young stepped forward and quickly placed the plastic bag over the boy's mouth. Seconds later, the child's breathing steadied. The mother exhaled shakily. "Thank you. You saved my son."
Behind him, the firefighter warned, "Student, even so, it's dangerous. Don't step forward like that again." Soo-young ignored him. Nearby, two men argued loudly. It was the same rude VIP man from before. A woman spoke up, "Isn't there a weakness to the monsters, like fire?" A ship waiter replied, "Fire won't work. The internal sprinklers will put it out immediately." Soo-young watched the child recovering and suddenly had an idea. He raised his hand and said, "Excuse me, if the monsters detect our breathing, wouldn't something like a mask work?" Another man replied, "As long as their breath doesn't escape, it should work." The woman agreed. His idea makes sense. The ship waiter added, "There are portable oxygen respirators in the medical room. They're meant for fire evacuation and were newly equipped on this cruise. If the monsters detect breathing, these vests, only exhaling through the system, are safe. With these, we can reach the external boats." People slowly began to calm down. Then one man raised his hand and asked, "Who's going to get them?" Everyone avoided eye contact. A middle-aged woman yelled, "Why is everyone just sitting still?" She pointed and said, "The men should go, right?" A man shouted back, "Is this lady crazy? What does gender have to do with this? Why don't you go yourself?" The VIP man shouted, "This was all caused by the regular passengers in the first place. Then regular passengers should go. I even got the premium vaccine." For a moment, everyone froze. Then other VIP passengers added, "Right, if anyone should go, it should be the regular passengers." Arguments erupted. Soo-young raised his hand and said firmly, "I'll go. I can hold my breath." Another man muttered, "If a young person is volunteering, there's no need to stop them." The old woman snapped back, "What are you talking about? Anyone can see he's a student. I'll go too." A young man protested, "Old lady, are you crazy? If you go outside, you'll just be a burden." The old woman smirked. "Then those young folks who aren't burdens should go. Don't just give advice, volunteer for once." The young people quietly backed away. The old woman advised Selwa to stay, but Selwa signed that she shouldn't go. The old woman insisted she would go with Soo-young. Then everyone looked at the firefighter and the muscular man. Shouldn't the firefighter go? Especially him. Are those muscles just for show? In the man's mind, he thought, just because I have muscles doesn't mean I'm fearless. Then he noticed a ship waiter trembling, his arm bitten. Suddenly, he shouted, "Ah, there's a monster. Those are bite marks from a monster." The waiter yelled back, "Hey, I was bitten a long time ago. I'm fine." Panic exploded again. People started running. In the chaos, someone grabbed Soo-young's arm. Shamelessly, she pointed and said, "While you're going out, could you take that person with you? At least one young adult man should go with you, right?" Hours later, after a long argument, the volunteers entered a room using a master key. Once inside, Soo-young checked the area first to see if it was safe, while the others followed behind him. After confirming the room was clear, the firefighter entered, closed the door, and turned on the lights. Only then did they start breathing again, gasping as they caught their breath. Soo-young looked at the old woman and said, "They're lucky no one was inside." Having the master key made things much easier. He then checked his watch, counting how long they had held their breath to enter the room. He set the timer to 3 minutes, thinking that was how long he could hold his breath. Then, thinking about the others, he changed it to 1 minute and 30 seconds, guessing that was probably their limit. The firefighter came up behind Soo-young and praised him for holding his breath so long. He gently patted Soo-young's head and said cheerfully, "You're amazing, kid. Still, leave the rest to me." Looking at him, Soo-young remembered what had happened earlier. When the woman grabbed Soo-young's arm, the firefighter stepped in and said, "Aren't you ashamed to pick on a child?" He raised his hand and said he would take the lead, asking if anyone else wanted to volunteer. But everyone avoided his eyes, too scared to volunteer. Soo-young thought to himself how thankful he was that a reliable adult he could trust had come with them. In the corner of the room, the crew's staff member began muttering angrily, "What am I, a germ or something? What did I even do wrong?" When the staff member was about to open another room, Soo-young shouted, "Wait a second, we haven't checked that spot yet." The man snapped back angrily, "What? There's nothing here. Everyone's obsessed with saving themselves. What, are you scared? Every time I do something, you all start yelling." With that, he slammed the door shut and entered the bathroom. The old woman apologized on his behalf, calling him Gontek. She explained that he could be harsh with words, but he wasn't really a bad person. He was just upset about everything that had happened. Inside the bathroom, Gontek shouted angrily, "Kicking me out just to save yourselves? Selfish jerks? Whatever, since I already changed rooms, I'll just stay here until the rescue team arrives. I'm staying away because you people disgust me." After finishing, Gontek was about to leave the bathroom when, behind the curtain, a monster appeared. He turned around and froze in terror as he saw it about to attack. Meanwhile, the others began figuring out their location and how to reach the infirmary using the fastest route. The old woman pointed to the map, explaining they were on the 10th floor. She explained that normally they would go through the main hall, but if they used the VIP-only elevator, they could reach the infirmary directly. Everyone agreed to the plan. Suddenly, Gontek burst out of the bathroom screaming, "Someone save me!" A monster was right behind him, attacking as he barely avoided it. Seeing this, the firefighter shouted, "Everyone, stop breathing!" At that moment, everyone covered their mouths and held their breath, staring at the monster in fear. The monster slowly moved toward the firefighter and Soo-young, while Gontek desperately held his breath as well. On the other side, the old woman and Selwa hid under a table, holding their breath. Soo-young ducked down too, glancing toward Selwa. He tried to signal something to her, but she didn't understand. Selwa quickly wrote on a piece of paper and showed it to him, asking what he meant. Suddenly, the firefighter grabbed a floor lamp and smashed it into the monster's head. Everyone was shocked by his sudden action. The monster resisted, its mouth writhing as its tentacle gripped the metal lamp and tightened until it bent. Then it threw it, and the firefighter was sent flying with it. Soo-young and Selwa looked at him and saw he was close to losing consciousness. Soo-young frantically looked around for an idea, and then he spotted a telephone on the table. As the monster walked toward the firefighter, Soo-young and Selwa grabbed the telephone wire and stretched it from both sides. Selwa showed him a note asking what she should do. Soo-young wrote back that someone needed to act as bait to draw the monster's attention so they could trip it with the wire. After reading it, Selwa went to the old woman and asked her to hold the wire so she could act as bait. She refused, saying it was too dangerous and that she would do it instead. Selwa insisted she would be the bait, and the two started arguing. Seeing this, Soo-young panicked, wondering what they were arguing about. At that moment, Gontek opened his mouth and breathed. Everyone turned toward him as the monster sensed it. The monster charged at Gontek with his mouth wide open, but the telephone wire caught around his neck. Soo-young and Selwa pulled from both sides, stopping it from reaching him. At that very moment, the firefighter appeared behind the monster holding a fire extinguisher and slammed it into the monster's head. The head was torn clean from its neck, and the body collapsed onto Gontek. Everyone froze, staring at the fallen monster. Gontek slowly lifted his head, stood up, and hid next to Soo-young, gripping his hand tightly. Then the firefighter spoke, breathing hard. These monsters, maybe their weak point is the head. Moments later, while Gontek trembled in the corner, the firefighter walked over to Soo-young. Soo-young spoke first. "Do you have something to say, mister?" The firefighter replied calmly, "Don't hate that lady too much. She was probably just scared." Soo-young was confused at first, then he remembered the woman who grabbed his hand. He replied, "Oh, I don't think much about it. I came here to find my sister anyway." The firefighter smiled and said, "Still, you're brave. Thanks for stepping in back there. You saved my life with that monster. You must have been popular at school, huh?" Hearing that, Soo-young looked down. He told himself he wasn't brave at all. A memory flashed in his mind, his friends being bullied while he stood there doing nothing. He remembered how he ignored it, pretending he didn't see anything. As the memory returned, sweat ran down his face, filled with regret. Moments later, they left the room and started running down the hallway, carefully avoiding nearby monsters. As they ran, they passed several headless bodies lying on the floor. Suddenly, Selwa stopped. They all stopped running. In front of them were several monsters lying strangely on the ground. Seeing this, Soo-young wondered what the monsters were doing. He asked himself, were they dead or just sleeping? While he was confused, Selwa and the old woman started talking using sign language. After finishing, Selwa showed a piece of paper. It read, "We have to decide." The firefighter clapped his hands, drawing everyone's attention. He made a hand gesture signaling that they should go back for now. As they carefully walked away, Soo-young kept wondering why there were so many headless monsters on the ground. He didn't remember seeing this many before. He pushed the thought aside and started running again, searching for a room. Using the master key, Soo-young opened one door. He peeked inside, then signaled everyone to follow him. They quickly entered. Inside, Gontek was angry. "Can't we just hide and stay here until rescue comes? I'm never coming out again." Suddenly, Gontek kicked a soda can on purpose, sending it flying. A moment later, the firefighter entered the room too, and they nodded at each other. Then, the soda started to fizz, making a loud sound. Soo-young turned and saw that the soda was starting to spray. He told himself it was fine, it was just a sound. But suddenly, a monster appeared right in front of him. Soo-young sensed it just in time and barely dodged the attack. At that moment, the firefighter rushed to close the door, but the monstrous tentacle got stuck between it.
Selwa and the old woman helped him push the door shut. The old woman asked in panic, "What do we do now?" The firefighter replied, "I'll get a weapon, hold the door." The monster's tentacles stretched toward Soo-young. The old woman shouted, "Gontak, hurry up and help!" But Gontak was shaking, thinking only about running away and saving himself. Just then, the firefighter returned, holding a fire extinguisher, and slammed it into the monster's head. With a heavy blow, the monster's head was cut off and flew into the room. The firefighter looked outside and saw the monster's body without its head. He turned around and said, "It's okay now." But suddenly, a tentacle beside him struck fast, cutting off his head. The monster entered the room, now with multiple heads. One of them was the firefighter's head. Soo-young could only watch as he froze in horror.
Then the scene shifts a few days earlier, before the monsters started appearing. While the old woman and Seolwa were cleaning the bathroom, the old woman noticed something and scoffed, "Ugh, why do they keep pulling these childish pranks?" Seolwa looked closely and realized it was the same bloody handprint she'd seen in the VIP elevator earlier. Then the old woman, holding the bleach bottle, sighed, "Oh no, we're out of bleach. I'll go grab some from the supply room." As the old woman stood up to leave, Seolwa grabbed her hand and stopped her, signaling that she would go instead. Moments later, inside the supply room, Seolwa picked up a bottle of bleach and started reading the label to make sure it was the right one. As she was reading, she flinched when she suddenly heard lewd sounds coming from the other side of the shelves. Curious and confused, Seolwa peeked through a small gap between the bottles and saw the rude VIP woman from earlier having an affair with a younger guy. Seeing that, Seolwa's face turned red as she thought to herself how shameless they were. She turned around, planning to quietly leave, but suddenly she heard violent coughing. The woman began coughing uncontrollably, black blood spilling from her mouth. Between coughs, she shouted desperately, "My husband, he knows everything!" The man covered his face with his hand, annoyed, and snapped at her for having no manners. But when he looked at his hand, he froze. There was black blood on it. Shocked, he asked what it was. Then the woman grabbed onto him desperately, coughing harder as she shouted, "Come with me. I absolutely can't live with that old man anymore, even if he's Chairman Ryzen. I got vaccinated. There's no way I could be sick." Her eyes suddenly turned red as she screamed even louder, "How can I be sick? You called me a bar girl. You said I'm your woman." The man pushed her away angrily and shouted, "Back off! Shouldn't you go to the hospital? I only came here to satisfy you. Looks like you just have a bad cold. I'm leaving first." He turned away, grumbling angrily, "Ugh, I hope I don't catch it." But without him knowing, the woman behind him started trembling unnaturally. When he reached the door and smiled, thinking he could finally leave, the woman suddenly appeared behind him, now completely transformed into a horrifying monster. A tentacle shot out, grabbed his head, and yanked it inside, tearing his head off completely. As the monster absorbed his head into its body, Seolwa watched in horror from behind the shelves, covering her mouth with both hands. Terrified, she turned around, asking herself what she had just seen. Something horrifying was coming out of that woman's body. She froze, leaning against the shelves, trying to convince herself maybe she was seeing things, then decided to peek again to confirm. The moment she looked, the monster's head appeared right in front of her, its massive jaw wide open. Seolwa screamed, barely dodging the attack. The shelves collapsed due to the impact, falling like dominoes, trapping Seolwa underneath as she struggled not to cry. She gasped, smelling a strong chemical scent. Looking ahead, she saw a spilled bottle of bleach pouring onto the floor. Quickly, she covered her mouth and stopped breathing to avoid inhaling it. As she held her breath, the monster appeared in front of her. Its head slowly approached, staring at her with an open mouth. But strangely, it suddenly turned away, ignoring her and looking around instead. Just then, Seolwa heard a human voice from another room. The monster immediately reacted and rushed towards the sound. The moment it left, Seolwa stood up and ran. In the other room, the monster was now biting Gontek's arm as he screamed in horror. Behind the monster, Seolwa appeared, clutching a bottle of bleach. Without hesitation, she rushed forward and slammed it into the monster's stretched-out neck. Then she grabbed Gontek and they started running. As they ran, Gontek asked what that thing was, but obviously Seolwa couldn't answer. As they ran, they reached a dead end and turned around, only to see the monster still chasing them. In that desperate moment, Seolwa covered Gontek's mouth and stopped him from breathing. She held her breath too, determined not to die.
Back in the present, Seilwa slowly stood up, grabbed the can of soda, and rushed towards the monster. She intentionally threw the can out of the room. The monster's head immediately followed the sound of the fizzing can as it rolled away. The moment the monster followed it, Seilwa hurried to the door and started pushing it closed. Hours later, Soo-young wakes up, breathing heavily as he slowly raises his head. He looks ahead, thinking that everything that happened earlier might have just been a dream, but then he sees a headless corpse lying on the floor, covered in white cloth. The moment he sees it, the terrifying events from before flood back into his mind, freezing him in place. As he stares at the corpse, he remembers the firefighter's kind words, how he encouraged and praised him. Realizing that the firefighter is really gone, Soo-young lowers his head and admits it to himself. The firefighter is dead. He mutters in despair, thinking that even someone so strong and dependable like him died so helplessly, like nothing. Then he questions himself. Can we really survive here? In the end, just like the firefighter, maybe Haesoo is already lying dead somewhere. But then a piece of paper suddenly appears in front of him with the words, "It'll be okay." Soo-young snaps and shouts at Seilwa, What are you saying? How is it okay? The firefighter just died, and I even saw a corpse that looked like my sister. Don't ignore me, at least say something." Seilwa throws a handful of paper at his face. As the papers fall to the floor, Soo-young picks one up. Written on it, "When I saw their heads earlier, your sister wasn't among them." His eyes fill with tears as he asks softly, "Really, is that true? If that corpse wasn't Haesoo, that's enough." Seeing that he's finally calmer, Seilwa breathes a sigh of relief. Then the old woman appears and says, "Oh my, what a sight. That's right. If you're sad, you should cry." Flustered, Soo-young replies that he wasn't crying and asks if she's okay. The old woman answers cheerfully that she's lively as ever thanks to Seilwa quickly closing the door. That's the only reason we survived. Suddenly, from the other room, Gontek shouts angrily, "Damn it, I'm not going out again. Everyone, leave me alone. I'm not leaving this room." Soo-young mutters, asking if Gontek is staying behind. The old woman sighs, "Well, if he insists, we can't force him. Just leave him. Though, is it even safe to go out again? We almost survived if we'd just held on a little longer, but that monster suddenly charged in." Seilwa then holds up a piece of paper, explaining that the monster probably reacted to the fizzing carbon dioxide from the soda can. It sensed breath from it. The old woman brightens. "Really? Then we can lure them with soda cans from now on, right?" But Soo-young answers seriously, "It's not like it will blow up every time you throw it, and more importantly, we don't know how far the fizz can attract them. Worst case, one could show up right in front of us again." He slowly stands up, breaks a wooden chair, and pulls off a leg to use as a weapon. Holding it tightly, he says, "If we hold our breath, they can't detect us. We need to get to the infirmary. Rather than just waiting to die, we should at least fight back." The old woman and Seilwa exchange looks, then nod in agreement. Soo-young resets his watch to 1 minute and 30 seconds, the amount of time the others can hold their breath. They each grab a weapon, preparing themselves, then move out. Soo-young opens the door, and they leave. Inside, Gontek appeared and muttered, "Did they leave? Persistent idiots. Why not just hide somewhere safe and wait for rescue? What's so great about risking your life for people in the hall? You're just throwing lives away." Still, I do like that every room we pick is a suite. I'll just quietly wait for rescue here. He opens the fridge and laughs. Nice, a suite and a fridge full of delicacies. Meanwhile, outside, Soo-young and the others carefully walk through the corridor. Soo-young spots a monster lurking around the corner and immediately signals Seilwa. But suddenly, Gontek steps out of the room. The sound startles everyone. Surprisingly, Gontek whispers, "I'll come with you." Soo-young and Seilwa are confused, thinking maybe he suddenly changed his mind. As they continue moving, Soo-young wonders why Gontek would change so abruptly, but pushes the thought aside as they finally reach the VIP elevator. He and the old woman exchange a nod. Soo-young uses the master key, but they're all shocked when it's getting declined. "Please present a VIP card." Seilwa quickly asks the old woman if it was always like this. The old woman explains that when she cleans the regular rooms, the master key opened everything, so she assumed it would work on the elevator too. While they're talking, the elevator doors slowly open, and what they see terrifies them. Inside are multiple monsters, each with 2 or more heads. The doors begin to close, but Soo-young suddenly jams his hand in to stop it. The old woman and Seilwa stare in shock, but Soo-young is determined. He plans to search the monster's pockets for a VIP card. He turns around and sees the old woman signaling him to come back, while Seilwa is practically calling him a lunatic. Soo-young then remembers the sign language Seilwa taught him earlier. Using it, he signals that he will advance. Then he shockingly signals again, telling them to go back while he goes alone. Soo-young slowly steps into the elevator. Seilwa tries to rush after him, desperate to stop him, but behind them, Gontek is at his limit, about to breathe again. Panic fills Seilwa and the old woman as the elevator doors finally close. For one last moment, Soo-young looks back at them. Seilwa runs towards the elevator, trying to stop it, but she's too late. The doors close. Inside, Soo-young turns to face the monsters beside him. He resets his watch, timing how long he can hold his breath, confident in his endurance. He notices most of the tentacled heads are pointing upward, so he lowers himself and starts crawling, searching the corpse's pockets for a VIP card. As he crawls, he comes face to face with a headless body, his eyes widening, but he forces himself to calm down. When he opens his eyes again, a monster is standing right in front of him. He slowly reaches towards its pocket, but its head suddenly turns towards him, mouth wide open. Soo-young clamps his mouth shut, terrified, but luckily the monster ignores him and slithers past.
Meanwhile, Sewa and the others finally reach a room. They gasp for breath and Sewa rushes to the old woman. "Grandma, are you out of your mind? How could you just let him do that? For a normal person, that's already past the limit of holding their breath." The old woman replies firmly, "So you mean leave Gontak there on the verge of suffocating too? What then? Should we all die together?" Sewa lowers her head. "I told Soo-young his sister was alive, without even being sure. I foolishly gave him hope. If he dies, it's my fault." The old woman grabbed her shoulders and said, "Don't say that, Sewa. Soo-young went there by his own choice. Even if you hadn't said anything, he would have done the same thing. We have to trust his choice and wait." Elsewhere on the ship, at the pool surrounded by monsters, Hesu and another girl are submerged underwater holding their breath to avoid detection. But the other girl can't take it any longer and suddenly bursts upward for air. Hesu grabs her hair, pulling her back underwater, thinking that if she surfaces, the monster will tear her apart. She'd rather give her mouth-to-mouth air than watch her get killed. The girl resists, kicking Hesu in the stomach, and Hesu starts losing her own breath, slowly drowning. Just as they begin to sink, a severed monster head falls into the pool. Hesu notices a hand reaching out, grabbing her clothes and pulling her up to the surface. She gasps, taking in air heavily. Looking ahead, she sees a cruise chef wiping a bloody knife on his hand, ready for action. Meanwhile, inside the elevator with Soo-young, monster heads surround him. His heart pounds and he begins to run out of breath. He closes his eyes, trying to endure a few more seconds. Memories fled back, the doctor pointing at his x-ray. "See here? We had to insert 10 metal pins. Your ligaments are completely torn, your shoulders unstable, you won't be able to swim anymore." Then, at school, he remembers the whispers of people around him saying, "Serves you right, look at him now, ditching a friend and acting high and mighty." He recalls the friend who pushed him, causing his accident, who now coldly ignores him. But Soo-young refuses to give up. He remembers the determination that kept him going in the past, pushing through to catch up in swimming competitions, enduring pain, fighting to survive. Back in the present, Soo-young opens his eyes more determined than ever. He crawls slowly, reaching behind a monster's pocket for the VIP card. Meanwhile, Sewa and the old woman are in the room, anxiously staring at the clock, praying for Soo-young's safety. Gontak, crouched in a corner, mutters, "He's probably already dead. How can a person survive over 8 minutes?" He starts laughing nervously. "Haha, that doesn't make any sense. Aren't we all going to die like him soon? Survive my ass, we're all going to die, we're all dying." Suddenly, they all freeze when someone is frantically knocking at the door. Terrified, everyone turns. Sewa rushes to the door, despite the old woman trying to stop her. She peers through the peer hole, then opens the door, her face lighting up in relief. Soo-young bursts in, covering his mouth. The old woman runs to him. "Oh my, Soo-young, are you hurt?" Calmly, "I'm fine." Sewa grabs his clothes, worried, almost in tears. The old woman interrupts gently. "Don't even mention it. Sewa was worried sick about you. She kept saying it would be her fault if you died." Confused, Soo-young asks, "Huh? Why would she say that?" The old woman smiles. "You should ask her yourself later." Then Soo-young spoke and said, "I got the VIP card safely. Is everyone okay?"
The old woman assures him that they're fine and that they were more worried about Soo-young than anything else, that he was pushing himself too hard. Soo-young smiles. I'm fine. Then he looks for Gontak and spots him secretly doing something. What are you doing? Soo-young asks. Gontak panics and hides something behind him. It's just a chocolate bar. The old woman chuckles. Gontak, no one's going to steal it. Just relax and eat. But Gontak shouts indignantly. Seriously? Why do we have to take care of those people in the hall? Why help those just sitting safely while we're out here busting our asses? He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small butter spatula. I'm not going. Hand over the master key that old lady's holding. Everyone stares. The old woman quips, what are you going to do, spread jam on us? Moments later, outside the elevator, Soo-young uses the VIP card to open it. Gontak keeps his eyes glued to the old woman's pocket, precisely at the master key. As the elevator finally opens and they start to enter, Soo-young notices someone standing at the other end of the corridor. Meanwhile, back at the pool, Haesoo carefully watches the monster's severed head. She turns and asks, just what are you, mister? Can you kill these things? Suddenly, behind the cruise chef, a monster head lunges to attack. Haesoo yells, Mister, behind you! The chef swings his knife, slicing the monster's mouth in half and continuing to sever its stretched neck completely. His companion cheers. Whoa, as expected of Dae-sik, these monsters don't know whom they're messing with. But then the monster groans and rushes behind Dae-sik. His companion whispers, geez, Dae-sik, make sure it's dead. Haesoo watches, terrified. Another survivor assures her, you can breathe easier now. That man is strong. If we follow him, we'll be safe. Haesoo smiles in relief. Dae-sik shrugs. Luck mostly. It only had one head after all. Haesoo asks, what does that mean, mister? What do you know? Dae-sik steps toward her, bending slightly. Locking eyes with hers, he chuckles and pats her head. What? I thought I recognized this face. Aren't you the buffet kid? Haesoo asks what he means. Dae-sik smiles. Don't you know you're famous? A glutton boarded the cruise, wiping out everything every time it was refilled. Anyway, you'll be safe with me. Just watch out for two things. First, avoid those with 2 or more heads. They're extremely dangerous. And second, as long as it's not a familiar face, you'll be fine.
Coming through.